So can I share my screen?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started here.
Okay. Okay, so we are the JavaScriptures. That was our team name.
So thank you, Andrew. My name is John Hill, and I'm from Roanoke, Virginia, and I focused on Java. And I was at Heaven Come conference in Dallas, Texas last year, and that's the first time I'd heard about Bethel Tech. I'd been in the tech space before, 10 years prior, and it just prompted me to do some research. Started talking to some people at Bethel Tech, and they were just so encouraging. And I just decided to take the leap, and I'm glad I did. I've really enjoyed the time. I think I've grown a lot over the period of the course, not just in technical skills, but also through the revival group, and really enjoyed that. So,
I'm Kayla Manness, and I'm from San Diego, California. I love creativity, I love art, and I also love problem solving. So really finding this program helped me to see how those two could merge, and seeing all the pieces come together to form a comprehensive website it continues to inspire me. And I have a passion for technology and how it's driven by innovation and new ideas, and I really hope to contribute to that area in the future.
And my name is Robin, and I'm from Amarillo, Texas. I study JavaScript, and for me, I was looking for a career change. Didn't really know where to go or what even to study. And I was also at the Heaven Come conference in Dallas, saw their advertisement, and really felt like God was leading me towards this. Felt like it was an open door for me. So I jumped, and I'm excited to see where it's going to take me. So with that being said, our app is called Retask, and it is a to-do app that uses reward system to be the motivator. And so re is reward and task is task, so pretty easy, Retask. So again, we wanted to create this app where you could actually celebrate what you accomplished. So you have this goal that you're working towards, and it's more of a celebration instead of okay, I have one more thing I need to do. Let me just mark it off my list. We wanted to put a little bit of motivation in there to say, hey, here's a visual of what you want to accomplish. So kind of the same thought. You want to go on vacation, so you print out a picture of where you want to go, put it on a jar, and start putting coins in that jar. Kind of that same idea behind assigning or creating a reward to go with the specific task that you wanted to create. We designed this app to where the user has complete control. They can put whatever system of rewards or point system that they want to use. You could use it as a money base. So, okay, I want to buy ice cream at the end of the week. It's worth $5. So, I'm going to create these tasks that are worth a point each. And so by the end of the week, I'll be able to redeem that reward. And again, just a way to visualize your end goal and what it is that you really do want to accomplish. So of course, our audience is everybody. Everybody has that to-do list that they want to accomplish. And as we were brainstorming and just talking about the uses for this app, we thought it was really unique that it could be a good tool for parents who maybe want to teach their children a way to work towards what they want. Teaching them even responsibility. Like, let's say a kid wanted a puppy. So they would be able to go and pick a picture of a puppy, set it up as the reward, and the parent would assign, okay, the puppy is worth X amount of points, and then also set up, okay, let's teach you responsibility. So you're going to go through, and each task is going to be a certain amount of points, and so by the end of it, the kid will be able to redeem their puppy, and then of course the adults would to pay up and get their kid a puppy. So that's the idea behind having these rewards attached to your task. So to code our program, we used, of course, Heroku to deploy both the front end and the back end. We had two separate codes for that. For the back end, we did use Java Spring Boot. Hibernate, JSON Web Token, Amazon Web Services, and then Postgres for the database. For the front end, we used Angular 7. Amazon Web Services we used for the images so it wouldn't bog down our database, and that worked really well. And then, of course, your typical HTML, TypeScript, etc. And then for the styling, we use a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of Bootstrap, a little bit of Material, CSS, of course, and then our icons, we use Materialize for those. So to get started, we kind of brainstormed and diagrammed before we built the app, which I felt was really helpful as a way just as a starting point, I guess. So for the back end, we used the dbdiagram.io program, which allowed us to lay out what the tables would look like and the potential connections between the tables. So again, just to get started and not having to build that database and create those tables and then find out, oh, we actually don't need that, so let's delete it. We did all of that work here on this app. And I felt that was an excellent tool just to get that starting place and that visual. We did something very similar with the front end. Just a flow chart, just to say, these are the pages that we're going to have. These are the functions that we need, or the features that we want on each page. And again, just to have that starting place of, I'm actually working towards something specifically, and I'm not just reaching in the dark of not really knowing which way to go. And of course, our pages evolved from these initial thoughts. So even for styling, Kayla is wanting to be a graphic design artist, and she's amazing already. So she did a quick layout of what her vision for the pages were. And again, for me specifically, it helps me to say, okay, this is initially where I want it to go, what I want it to look like. And I find it extremely helpful instead of just like starting nowhere and then having to redo a lot of what you did. So definitely recommend having this, foundation of creativity. So the challenges that we came across, GitHub is extremely challenging. It's definitely good to learn. But pushing and pulling your code to where it's not going to erase anybody else's code or break the code overall was definitely a challenge, but good experience to learn that. And all three of us are in different time zones, so coordinating the schedules and those project tasks, it took a minute just to kind of get our groove and our rhythm. And then we used the JSON Web Token for security, and I know that we had some issues with that, and John was a rock star, and he got most of those fixed and resolved the whole thing, so that was amazing. And then don't be deceived, dates are actually really hard to work with in code. We weren't expecting that, and so that took a little bit of extra Googling. So, all right, thank you, and Kayla is going to demo the app.
Thank you, Robin. I'm going to share the application. So this is the login page for each task. I'm going to start off by creating a new user in the registry page. So in the registry page, if you, let's say I have a first name and I forget to put a last name, it'll put up this warning, last name is required. It'll also give a few errors if you put a password, let's say 3 letters, it'll say password must be at least 6 characters. Those are some restraints that we put on our login page just to make sure the user is putting in correct information. And so for the login, we use JSON Web Tokens, and the tokens are good for 24 hours. It's an OAuth 2 standard, and there we go. This is the home page. And the home page, we kind of saw it as a dashboard. It's the overall view of what you've done for the week, today's tasks. You have those that you can set up in the task page. And really the 2 main components are the tasks and the rewards. You can get points from completing tasks, and then you use them to redeem rewards. So at the bottom, I don't have any rewards or any points put in yet, but I will go to the task page, and here we can see the rewards that I set up for myself. I have exercise and read. We really wanted to make this super customizable, so you can create any task that you want. Let's say that I need to complete schoolwork today. And you can create a start date and an end date. So let's say maybe it ends on Saturday. It'll be a repeating task. And let's say it's worth 1 point. So I'll add that task. It should be available for all the days up to Saturday. Okay, so if I complete a task, it'll update at the top. Now there's one available point. If I complete another one, read, it'll update to 11. And you can also edit and delete your tasks on this page. Let's say I didn't want this task anymore. And if I go to the home page, you can see that it updated on the home page as well. So now there's progress towards my rewards. 11 out of 10. And then if you complete all your tasks, it'll show up as you've completed all your tasks for today on the home page. So another page that we have is the rewards page, also very important. And here we have all the redeemable rewards. This is also where you can add rewards, you can delete them, you can edit them, you can change the picture. Let's say I wanted to change the picture on that one. Maybe I wanted to add a new reward. And then you can also check your available points. If you don't have enough points to redeem that reward, it'll not be redeemable. You can see this one is redeemable. And on the calendar page, this one was actually one thing that we wanted to set up for the users so that they have a visual aid when they see their tasks. So it's just an overview of maybe what they completed and what maybe they still have to do. So today is Monday, it's green, and you can see that since I marked those two as complete, they're green. Since I didn't complete read yesterday, it's red. And the ones that I completed in the past are also green. The tasks that I have yet to complete in the future are blue. And if I quickly, oh, actually I can do it from this page. So you can also mark them as incomplete on this page. You just update it. And then you'll see it shows up as yellow. It's a pending task. You can add a new task from this page. You can switch to a week view, a day view. You can go to the next month. And we also have a profile page. You can update your image. It loads. Okay. You can update your information, and you can also change your, oh, there it goes. You can also change your password by entering your current password, new password, confirm new password, and it should change the password. And we also had some mobile compatibility, so quickly I'll just show you. This is the mobile site. Everything functions pretty much the same as it would on the regular site. the rewards page. And here we go. I think that's pretty much the entire functionality. We really wanted to make it so that the user can customize how they view things. So for me, the way I would prefer to do it is, let's say I have a new sketchbook that I want from Etsy, and it costs $40. So I might say like 40 points, $1 is the point. But we really wanted to leave it up to the user. They can really put a value on these things and really use it the way that they think would work best. So I'll pass it on to John. He's going to share some of the code that we have.
All right, thank you, Kayla. So I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to talk a little bit about the code that was behind the scenes here. One of the things we did, we had an image repository, and we used AWS S3, and Adib suggested this, so the initial suggestion came from Adib, so we appreciated that. And the reason we did it is we didn't want to store our images with the application. So sometimes with an application, the images will grow quite quickly, and you may have to move those, so we didn't want to have to move both the images and the application, so that's the thought behind it. So the process is that we would have a user upload an image similar to what Kayla was doing on the rewards page to the front end. And then the front end will send it to the back end, and then the back end will actually send it over, and it'll be stored on AWS, on the Amazon server. And pointers to the images are communicated back to the front end, and then finally through the HTML, the images are actually served from the AWS server. So if you looked at a URL for our images, you would see AWS location for our images. So that's kind of what we're doing, and I'll show you the code behind that. And this is Java code to upload the image. And there's some other code in here which I just kind of did a snippet. It's not complete, but I can explain some of it. So the first thing we have is we have a AWS SDK for Java, which is just something that Amazon put together, and you just incorporate it into your code as a service. So that's the first part. The second part here that you're looking at is our API endpoint. So if you know the applications, the backend application server address, you can take that plus this API file upload, and you can actually call this. Of course, you'd have to have security to do that. We wouldn't allow you to get in if you didn't have security. And then another part of it is actually the image to upload, and it's represented here by file. And the process is you set up a URL. I might have to move this thing over because I can't see what I'm presenting here. A URL for the image, and what that is there's a region associated with the AWS, and we have to replace that. So we had that as a string, and then the region's actually stored somewhere else. So you don't actually see where that is, but it's in the code here. So we put the URL, and then we get the file name from file, which is transported up or passed when we call the API. And then we create something called a bucket, which is standard for AWS, and then we add the key name here on the end. The last part that we do is we call the AWS SDK service, which stores the file on the AWS server. So that's the Java code. Again, we're going to talk a little bit here about the Angular part of serving an image. We thought we'd just talk about the images since that's what we talked about first here. And this is the HTML on the page. This actually came from the page where Kayla was talking about the rewards. And you'll notice that it's just standard HTML with an input type file. And that has some standard, every browser will have that type, so you can use that to go out and select a file. And there's some standard ways it operates. So we wanted to modify that slightly. So what we did was we put a label up here. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. We put the label up here, which will kind of cause the input to behave a little bit differently than the standard process. You also will notice there's a variable here called data.reward.uploads. It's the zero currents of that URL. And that's used in our TS file so we can preview the image. We didn't want to just, because the standard behavior for the input type file is it just gives you a file name. It doesn't let you preview the image before you save it. So we wanted the user to be able to preview the image. So that's why that's there. And then this is on file selected. So it's a function that will be called when we use this input type. And we'll show you that code here in just a second. We're also limiting it to type images only. So we can, any type of image will be in there. So here's what you get when you click on an image. It'll come up and give you this standard box, and you can select one of the images. And when you say OK, when you accept this, you say open or cancel. You're actually calling that on file select. And what will happen is we'll preview the image. So I'll show you the code to do that. So this is the on file selected event that gets fired when we select the image. And the first thing we're doing, we're making sure that something was actually selected. The next two lines where it says this data pick change, and that's specific to our application and would change based on what you were doing. But we needed a way to tell our application that the picture had changed, and then we were setting the actual file name. The next thing we're checking that it exists is not null and that it does exist. So we're doing a lot of checking to make sure it was selected. And then we create a new file reader, which is a type in JavaScript. And we set up a function which is reader on load. And you'll notice this data reward uploads is the same name that we used in our HTML. So we're setting that to the results of this event call. And then we're actually, when we do a reader.reader as data URL and we pass it the name of that file, it actually loads it and creates the ability to have a preview. So that's 2 bits of our code, and just wanted to share that with you today. So that's the end of our presentation. Really enjoyed working with Kayla and Robin. We really worked well as a team, and I appreciated their time and the time that Adeed spent with us and worked with us during this process. So we just thank everybody involved.
Yeah, it was a blast to work with these guys. They're so talented and hardworking, and yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming and thank you guys for the great work.
Yes, agreed. Thank you guys. Y'all were amazing.
Awesome. Really, really good work. Very impressive from the styling, the setup, all the icons, everything very visually appealing, and very well articulated and everything as well, explaining kind of how everything works there. And it's a great skill set to have, just that practice of articulating, because to you guys, it's like, yeah, we get it, we know what's happening, but to slow down and really just kind of explain it just helps even internalize it even more. So definitely very well said there and well executed and demonstrated. So very, very cool. One thing I was kind of curious about, you mentioned a couple of the challenges. Could you go into a little bit of the challenges as far as like the dates and kind of tell us exactly what the issue was and how you kind of came to the solution with it?
Yeah, we had dates that were we didn't use time on our tasks, and because we were putting them in different time zones, it was causing a lot of problems because they might appear a previous day. Like I might put a task in and I'm in a previous day and it would show up, or vice versa. So we had to end up getting rid of the times on the dates. So we just there was a function that I think it truncates the date. It just turns it into a date and it doesn't have a time on it. So we had to use that for all of our dates. But it was a bit of a question because we would see our tasks showing up on different days. So we had to kind of explore that.
Yeah, and debug if it was something in the code or if it was something outside the code and literally just a time-related issue. So yeah, it sounds like you're able to kind of pinpoint the issue there. And that's definitely a unique debugging there. So good experience on that. Gotcha. And then you guys mentioned you kind of had different kind of main languages that you guys studied between, Java, C# and JavaScript. Was there any sort of, issues with that at all? Or were there any challenges with that? Or did it kind of come together pretty naturally? And tell us about that experience.
I think for the most part, it worked pretty well. We were able to share with each other and kind of help each other out when we didn't really know what to do. And I think that's one thing that as a team we really succeeded at. So.
Gotcha. And now you have a little bit of a exposure to languages as well. So
definitely. Yeah,
if you do,
it definitely helped expand my knowledge.
Exactly. So yeah, people see that as a huge challenge. Some people like to be exposed to different things. So at least you guys have that experience, no matter what your kind of opinion is, that, all right, you've seen a little bit of how different languages work. And with that, you can continue to learn those other languages if you want and add that to your skill set and go from there. So that was very cool. It's pretty rare that a group has the different diverse kind of languages like that. So it's really cool to see that something amazing like you guys were able to create was able to happen. So very impressive there. And so, yeah, it looks like a lot of good stuff coming in on the chat as well. So feel free to read the chat if you guys aren't haven't checked that out. A lot of good kudos. So, like I said, very impressive from organizing it and kind of laying out how everything was done. And everybody on their own presentations did really well. So great stuff. Share a couple more things, and I think we'll pretty much wrap it up for the day.